Hey everyone, so I'm super excited to announce this. I'm starting a new Discord server for weekly sketches. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start by doing a demo for you guys, and every week you'll get a new demo that you can then upload into Discord. So the Discord link is in the description of this video. All you have to do is go sign into Discord and enter into the community. Just make sure that you introduce yourself when you go into the Discord community. And so the goal of this is to do a couple things. So first, if you're someone that wants to learn to draw, but you feel like you need more of a structured way, I find that a lot of times people, they're a little bit all over the place when they're starting to learn how to draw. And a lot of times people just don't know where to start. And so this will be really good for anyone who's trying to learn how to draw. The second thing is it'll cut down on the issue of sometimes people get kind of blocked with their art and their drawing because they're not sure what to draw. So there's the issue of like where to begin. And then there's also the issue a lot of times of what you should draw. And that can kind of get people stuck. So this will take that out of that equation by giving you guys not only something to draw, but also showing you step by step actually how to do it. So I hope you'll check out the Discord link and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And I hope to see you all there. Okay, so for this week's weekly drawing and demo, I'm drawing these little pebbles, and I picked these because they are pretty simple, obviously, but they still have some interesting things happening with them. And so I'm going to draw them a few different ways just so you can see a few different variations. And, take your drawing, find something kind of similar. It could be a rock, it could even be something from outside. It doesn't have to be something exactly like this. And a few things to think about. So when I look at this, I'm noticing things like these reflections, and I'm noticing different values. So I see that there's kind of like midtone up here, and then it's a little bit darker in here in the shadow, and then there's some light. So those are just some things that I'm looking at. And so these are just meant to be relatively quick sketches, so you don't need to overwork these, just, a few lines to get some shadows and some midtones. Build up your line density on the shadow to get it to be a little bit darker. And remember the concept of direction of line, and you want to kind of capture like the turn of the form, so my lines are curving around the object. If you're working on like a gray or toned paper, you can add a little white highlight here with a Prismacolor, or you can also use a jelly roll for that. So one thing to notice, and you'll notice this on a lot of people who draw, online and do videos and things. One big difference that I've always found is between people who are more advanced drawers versus newer drawers, is that when you're new, a lot of times you're really nervous. So you're kind of going like slowly, and you're like a little bit unsteady, and you're trying to get it to be perfect, and you're trying to like really control it. And it kind of looks more like that maybe, right? So instead, what you want to try to do is just sort of like loosen up. So see how my hand is moving like this? If you could see my arm, I'm kind of going like this a little bit. When I used to teach people more in person, I would actually have people mostly work standing up, because then you're just more gestural. And of course, like in this, I'm sitting down while I'm recording, but that's just something to practice, is just like learning how to loosen up. And then the second thing just to mention, and I'm using a 005 pen here just as a heads up. So I'm moving my arm around. I'm looking at these different planes, right? So it's like flat here and it's rounded here. So I'm looking at like thinking about different line direction. So I want the lines kind of going around like that, because I want to show that this is a 3D object in space. So I'm thinking about, right, if I draw it like that, that's really flat. But if I start to think about the lines going like this, I'm showing the viewer that this is like 3D, right? This is going to go all the way around like that. And so another thing I wanted just to mention is that my perspective is a little bit different because I'm sitting and drawing this rock versus where the phone is at. So it looks a little bit different, obviously, in the drawing than the little rock does. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Now I'm adding in some more of the dark values that are on the side there. So that starts to look kind of 3D. So again, try to quicken up your line speed and just see how that goes, right? So kind of like this. Practice this, these kind of things, versus this, right? So the more, it's like almost like the more you try to control it, the flatter it is. So just loosen up. Just see how it's just like circular like that. I think you'll be able to do this. I think you'll realize this is actually like very doable. And so I like to always start with sort of like simple objects like this when I'm teaching. So we're going to go, through this Discord idea that I had. We're going to go from simple to more complex. So it's not like we're only going to do stuff like this. And if you don't have something like this, just get like a rock from outside. That'll work fine for this. Because it's really about noticing the different values on here and being able to then translate it onto your drawing. What you just want to avoid is really, really flat. Like this just looks flat as a pancake. You want it to start to have a little bit of dimension and try to start to notice where the light is hitting, how the light hits the object. If you want, you could even experiment with different types of patterns of your lines. Let's do something a little bit different, like maybe like a basket weave type of texture. But you're still looking at where the value is and keeping, you want to keep that light highlight spot up there. So try this and add it to Discord. And so my plan going forward is that I'll have a weekly drawing and then you'll have a week to put it on Discord. And it's fine if like you don't get to one or you get to one 2 weeks later, like you can still just add it to Discord. So hopefully we'll have a bunch of different versions of these drawings and I think that'll be really cool. I will give you all some feedback if you'd like on your drawings and hopefully I can help you get better. And I'm excited to see your work on Discord. So thanks again for watching, checking this out, and let me know if you have any questions about any of this, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.